Jay Prince really don't run Houston. He's been a mythical figure in the entertainment hip hop culture world, but in the streets, in the prison systems, he's not recognized and identified as a mob boss.
Charleston White just did something nobody in hip hop dares to do. He called out Jay Prince, not just mentioned him, full-blown confrontation. For 30 years, Jay Prince Sr. has been untouchable, the man rappers whisper about, the name that ends conversations. And his son? Following the same blueprint. But Charleston didn't whisper. He said their names directly, questioned their reputation, challenged their legitimacy. And he did it knowing exactly what he was doing.
How can James Prince get access to that? Working with the police, I'm working with the government.
Because this isn't just another Charleston White controversy. This is someone finally saying what the entire industry has been too scared to say. And the fallout? It's already started. Let's establish something first. Jay Prince Sr. isn't just respected in Houston. He's feared. For decades, his name carried weight that went beyond music. Stories circulated about what happens when you cross him. Careers ended. People disappeared from the industry overnight. And everyone got the message. You don't speak on Jay Prince. He built Rap-A-Lot Records into a powerhouse. Managed some of the biggest names in Southern hip-hop. But more than that, he cultivated an image of someone who operates by a different set of rules. Street rules. The kind where talking out of line has consequences that go beyond a diss track. Even Drake, one of the biggest artists on the planet, publicly credited Jay Prince with keeping him out of beef. That's the level of influence we're talking about. When you can pull strings that make superstars fall back, that's real power. And for 30 years, nobody publicly challenged it. Nobody questioned it. Nobody dared. Until Charleston White decided the emperor had no clothes. But Charleston didn't just call him out. He brought receipts. Charleston didn't make vague statements. He got specific.
Because the FBI want the Houston Police Department and James Prince too. Why you think Houston police keep turning the other way on all these murders? How do you think James Prince can get a motherfucking police report to an open murder investigation that includes his son? And none of the stuff is redacted.
In multiple interviews and social media posts, Charleston claimed the Prince family built their reputation on intimidation, not accomplishment. He questioned where the actual money came from, said the mob ties narrative was overblown mythology designed to keep people in line. But here's where it got personal. Charleston alleged that the Princes used fear tactics to muscle into business deals they had no right to. That artists paid protection money disguised as management fees, that the whole operation was built on people being too scared to say no. He pointed to specific incidents, times when industry figures suddenly went silent after Prince involvement, deals that fell apart mysteriously, contracts that appeared out of nowhere, and he asked the question nobody else would. What happens when you take away the fear? What's actually left? Other people have had issues with the Princes over the years, but they addressed it quietly, settled behind closed doors, or simply disappeared from the conversation entirely. The unwritten rule was clear: handle it privately or don't handle it at all. Charleston broke that rule in the most public way possible, and then he turned his attention to the son. Jay Prince Jr. represents the next generation, and that comes with a different playbook. Where his father moved in silence, Junior moves on social media. He posts, he responds, he makes his presence known digitally. It's a different era, and he adapted to it. But Charleston spotted the weakness in that approach. Junior has a history of going back and forth online, getting into comment section wars, posting subliminals. And every time he does, he reveals something his father never would: emotion. Charleston exploited that. He poked specifically at Junior, knowing the younger Prince is more likely to respond, more likely to engage, more likely to make this a public spectacle instead of handling it the old way. And there's strategy in that targeting. If you're going to challenge a legacy, you don't go after the untouchable father figure directly. You go after the heir. You question whether the next generation can actually back up the reputation they inherited. Charleston questioned Junior's credibility, said he's living off his father's name, claimed the respect isn't earned, it's inherited. And inheritance doesn't mean capability. He essentially dared Junior to prove him wrong, to show he's more than just his last name. to demonstrate the Prince reputation isn't just mythology maintained by fear of the father. It's a calculated attack. And it's working. But here's what nobody's talking about. Charleston White isn't doing this for attention. Well, not just for attention. He's been on a mission for years now, a crusade against what he calls the glorification of street culture and hip-hop. And the Princes represent everything he's fighting against.
J. Prince and his fictitious mob tie.
In Charleston's view, the industry protects certain figures because they benefit from the intimidation. Record labels don't have to negotiate fairly if the artist's manager has a reputation for violence. Contracts get signed under pressure. People agree to bad deals because saying no feels dangerous. And the Princes, in his assessment, are the ultimate example of that system. A family whose power allegedly comes not from business acumen or artistic contribution, but from fear, from the implicit threat of what might happen if you don't comply. Charleston sees himself as the person willing to expose that, to call it what it is, to remove the mystique and force people to look at the reality behind the reputation. Here's what's fascinating: the silence. Normally when someone beefs with a major figure, people pick sides. Others jump in. The industry chooses camps. But with this Charleston Prince situation, most people are saying nothing. And that silence is telling, because it reveals something. Fear is still working. People are still calculating whether it's worth getting involved, still weighing the risks of being associated with either side. But there are cracks. Some figures have quietly shown support for Charleston. Not publicly, but in private messages and behind-the-scenes conversations. They won't attach their names to it, but they're acknowledging he's saying what needed to be said. Others have distanced themselves entirely, unfollowed both sides, refused to comment when asked, created maximum separation to avoid being pulled into the conflict. What changed that allowed this moment to happen? The power structure shifted. Charleston built his own platform. He doesn't need industry approval, can't be blackballed from a system he's not part of. And he's got his own protection in place, connections in Texas that allegedly run just as deep as what the Princes have. Some view this as necessary, a breaking of an outdated system where reputation and fear matter more than actual contribution. Others see it as reckless, a violation of codes that exist for reasons Charleston doesn't understand. But everyone's watching, because how this plays out determines what's possible going forward. But this isn't ending quietly. Remember that untouchable reputation? Charleston just touched it. For 3 decades, J. Prince Sr. operated as hip-hop's most feared figure, built an empire on the understanding that some people don't get questioned, that certain names carry consequences just by being spoken.
Run up on me, James Prince. I'm gonna go to war with the goddamn police with all this shit I got.
Charleston White dismantled that in a series of interviews and posts. Not by proving the Princes aren't powerful, but by proving their power only works if people choose to be scared. And he chose not to be. The real question isn't whether Charleston was right or wrong about his specific allegations. The question is, what happens to the old guard when fear stops being currency? When a new generation of content creators operates outside the traditional power structure and can't be controlled the same way? Because if Charleston walks away from this without consequence, he doesn't just win his personal battle, he breaks the system. Every intimidation-based reputation in hip-hop suddenly becomes vulnerable. And if something does happen to him, he becomes a martyr. Proof that everything he said was true. Either way, the game just changed. The only question is, who makes the next move?